Okay, so I'm going to be teaching you your fourth op art design today. And just like with our third op art design, there's going to be a variation. So you're going to be able to choose between the design I do here and the design I'm going to finish over here. This is not finished. I'm going to eventually, hopefully, put in some photos in the video so you can see what each one looks like when it's fully finished, but I've already got this one set up to show you how the difference works. It's a small variation that actually has a significant effect. So let's go ahead and get started. Remember that you're going to need your pencil, your Sharpies, and a straight edge, whether that's a ruler or a card. So we're going to go ahead and start with a diagonal line. However, this time we are not going to be making an X. In all of our pieces up to this point, we've been putting an X in for the most part. We're not going to do that in this one, but we are going to start with a diagonal. So I'm very carefully lining up my corner here at the top and my corner here at the bottom. And I'm going to draw that line very lightly. Okay, so the next step is to create a wide diagonal line like we see here. So like a wide diagonal section running here. So let's see how I did that. So what I did is I just estimated, I went on one side of it and I attempted to draw a parallel diagonal line. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to lightly sketch this in. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So when I come over to the other side, I want to attempt to make it approximately the same width on both sides. Okay, so trying to set that up so that that's fairly even. It doesn't have to be 100% perfect, it's an approximation. So we're going to go ahead and pop this line in. And I'm going to make that a little bit wider, I think. Maybe just a little bit wider, just a touch. Okay, and then I'm just gonna pull this line out with my eraser. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I am going to set this up. So I am going to take my straight edge, and with the bottom line I have here, I'm going to line up my card, but before I do that, I'm going to erase this line because I don't actually need it anymore. So this is going to go away. Okay, so now we have a box that's been divided into 3 sections, a triangle on each side, and then a diagonal section running through the middle. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to take my straight edge and I'm going to find the point where this diagonal line and the bottom of my box are meeting, okay? And I marked that with a little dot. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to draw a line going straight up and down. So a vertical line going straight up and down like that. Now, what I'm gonna do over here is I'm gonna come to where this point and this edge are meeting, and I'm gonna put a little dot, and I'm going to draw another vertical line. Okay, so now what I'm going to be doing is I am going to be going through this section and I'm going to be putting in vertical parallel lines the whole way up that diagonal section. So let's go ahead and start this. I'm going to estimate and try and keep the distance fairly consistent. So I'm going to put a line in here and make this a little bit brighter so that you can see a little bit better over here. And another one. And let's see. Yeah, I'll go ahead and put one more in right here. Okay, so there's a little smidge of a line right here. That's okay. I could potentially mess around with these and adjust these more to try and space them out, and maybe I will, but for now I'm going to go ahead and leave those like that. Now I'm going to go the whole way up the rest of the section, trying to create those parallel vertical lines and keeping the distance approximately the same with each one. Now I may have to mess around and make some adjustments in here once I hit this line. Hopefully I won't have to do too much adjusting. Okay, so that got a little bit small, so what I'm going to do is go ahead and adjust a few of these so that it looks a little bit more even. So let's do my ruler. Maybe that'll help me see a little bit more clearly through there. Okay, that's better. So one of them might be a little bit wider, this one might be a little bit wider, and I can continue to mess around with that. But for now, I'm just going to show you how to continue to go up the side, making these vertical lines. I'm switching to this because it's smaller and easier to use here. Okay, so there you go. We have this set up, and now what we're going to be doing is we are going to be marking out the next section of this piece. So I may mess around and make some adjustments, and then I'll show you the next step. Just maybe one area, so I'm going to mute this and then speed it up, okay? Okay, I'm happier with that. That was just me being really picky. And now we're ready to move on to the next step. Now, for this next step, I want you to be very precise. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to, let's go ahead and start up here. We are going to find the point where this line and the diagonal line meet. And with our straight edge, we are going to line this up with that point. So you can imagine if there's a little dot there where those two are meeting, now what we're doing is we're coming in with our straight edge and we are going to draw a parallel horizontal line in that is going to start at the dot and end at the edge of the square, okay? So I'm gonna do the same thing for each of these. So if you need to go ahead in and draw that dot in, you can. Those will eventually get erased. But it may be useful to you as you're setting this up, okay? So I've marked the top of each line with a dot, and now what I'm going to do is come in here and do a parallel horizontal line again. So they should be approximately the same width. And I'm even going to do this little one here. Okay. All right, so now we're going to do the same thing on this side, but they're going to go this direction. So we're going to come down from each of these and mark a dot. So I'm just marking a dot at the bottom of each line. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start here at the top, and I am going to do a line over. It's going to be a very small one. Come down to the next one, and this does have to line up. So you want that sharp corner happening where the line and the dot are meeting. Okay, so that's all the further we're going to go with that part. So now what we're going to do, this hasn't taken us very long, it's taken 10 minutes so far, even with my adjustments. So now what we're going to do is, just like we have in the past, we are going to go in, and in this diagonal section, we are going to mark every other space black. Okay, so we're going to be alternating our white and black just like we have been doing in the other designs. So you can see I've already done that up here, and you can already see that the lines are in. However, I do not want you to outline this edge. This is part of the variation, so wait before you do any outlining, because if you do that, then you're definitely stuck with one over the other, and I want you to be able to choose which one you want to do. So let's go ahead and start at the top, and we're going to go black, white, black, white, black, white, black, white, black, white, black, white, black. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead in, and I am going to start coloring these sections in with my thicker black Sharpie. And as you know, once I get to the edges, I'm going to slow down. I'm going to use a straight edge to get a really nice clean line. So I'm going to go ahead and start this, and I'm going to speed it up because all we're going to do now is color in each of these sections that has the black dot. Okay, so now we're going to get into the variations. So you'll see that this one and this one look almost identical. So if I bring the light down so that you can see the lines better at the top, they look almost identical as far as how they start out. The one difference you see currently is that the outline on this diagonal section has been marked out with my black Sharpie on this one. Now we're not going to do that on this one, because if we do that for this design, it's really going to mess it up. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what these two look like, because they start out with the same exact design, but they have a different effect in the end. And depending on who you are and your preference, you may like one or more better. The one I'm going to do down here, I personally have more of a visual effect from when I look at it, but both my son and husband have more of a visual effect when they look at this variation, so I'm going to show you both. Okay, so let's start and focus on, we'll call this variation A. So with this one, we're going to do something we haven't done a whole lot in this, which is typically we are always alternating black and white, right? So in the past, we've gone black, white, white, black. We're not going to do that with this one. With this one, we're actually gonna go and follow this line here. So this is black. So we're gonna come up. So if you think of it as coming up and following this out, okay? So this is gonna be black. I am going to come up off of the top of this one and pull this out. So this section and this section are both going to get colored solidly black. So I'm going to do the same thing here. So I'm literally going in with my Sharpie, writing over top of the mark, pulling out and out, okay? So now what we do is we come down here and follow that out. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and color this one in a second so that you can see what it's like. Then I'll come back and I'll show you this variation, which is just one, like there are literally just two changes that happen, but it does create a different effect. So I'm gonna go ahead and speed this up while I color these sections in, and you'll see the final result here in a minute. Okay, so this one is done, and except for one last step. And now I'm going to show you the variation, and you can choose which one of these you want to do, or if you want to try them both out and see which one you like better, that's fine too. So the one last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with my eraser, and I'm going to pull out that diagonal line that I used to help myself set this piece up. Okay. So that is done. So let's take a look at the variation. The variation is we're gonna come up here. And for the variation, we're gonna work differently. Okay, so in this one, the lines were matching up. This one, we don't want the lines to match up. So we're gonna go back to that more typical process we've used, where what we do is we say, okay, this is white, so this line is going to be black. This is black, so this is going to be white. This is white, so this is going to be black. This is black, so this is going to be white. This is white, so it'll be black. Okay, so we have black, white, black, white, black. Okay, so we're going to come over here to the other side and do the same thing. White, black, black, white, black and white, white and black, black, white, white, black, black, white, white, black, black, white. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to color each of those sections in, and we'll come back and see what the two variations look like in the end, and you'll choose which one you prefer. Doesn't matter to me, but now you know two different designs that start the same way, just like you have two different designs that start the same way with these. Okay, so I'm going to speed this up and I'm going to get this colored in. a few little touch-ups here and there, because as I've told you before, I'm gonna be a little bit picky about my work. Okay, so now we have the variation done, and you can decide which one you like better. I like them both. Depending on how I'm looking at things, sometimes I see more of an effect with this one. Right now I'm really liking the way this one looks. So it's going to be your choice which one you do, but now you have 4 designs and 2 variations. So you should have no problem coming up with your 5 op art mini compositions. All right, guys, good luck.